The Greek philosopher Aristotle spoke of communication consisting of three elements. He called these logos, ethos, and pathos. Logos is logic or communication that adheres to the rules of good reason. Ethos is your relationship with others, and pathos is emotion, feeling, and motivation. Put another way, if logos, ethos, and pathos were children, logos would be the brainy one, ethos would be your best friend, and pathos is the kid that can get you to do just about anything. Here's an example of pure logos.
In 1930, the Republican-controlled House of Representatives, in an effort to alleviate the effects of the, anyone? The Great Depression, passed the, anyone? A tariff bill, the Hawley-Smoot Tariff Act, which, anyone raised or lowered? Raised tariffs in an effort to collect more revenue for the federal government. Did it work? Anyone? Anyone know the effects? It did not work, and the United States sank deeper into the Great Depression. Today, we have a similar debate over this. Anyone know what this is, class? Anyone? Anyone? Anyone seen this before? The Laffer curve. Anyone know what this says? It says that at this point on the revenue curve, you will get exactly the same amount of revenue as at this point. This is very controversial. Does anyone know what Vice President Bush called this in 1980? Anyone? Something DOO economics.
Now check out this example of having all three, pathos, ethos, and logos, in the proper quantity.
Where is thy salute for presenting yourselves on this battlefield? I give you thanks.
This is our army. To join it, you give homage.
I give homage to Scotland. And if this is your army, why does it go?
We didn't come here to fight for them.
Oh! The English are too many.
Sons of Scotland, I am William Wallace.
William Wallace is 7 feet tall.
Yes, I've heard. He kills men by the hundred. And if he were here, he'd consume the English with fireballs from his eyes and bolts of lightning from his arse. I am William Wallace. And I see a whole army of my countrymen here in defiance of tyranny. You've come to fight as free men. And free men you are. What will you do with that freedom? Will you fight?
Fight against that? No! We will run!
And we will live. Aye. Fight and you may die. Run and you'll live. At least a while. And dying in your beds many years from now, would you be willing to trade all the days from this day to that for one chance, just one chance, to come back here and tell our enemies that they may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom!
According to Aristotle, perfect communication would consist of presenting coherent facts, logos, taking into account the receiver of the communication, ethos, while motivating people to action, pathos. The problem is that in the modern communication diet, logos is almost non-existent. Ethos is available in small portions, and pathos is huge.
It's really hypocritical of the Democratic side of this aisle passing a pay-go bill What does the pay-go mean? It means that you pay for the bills as they appear on the floor of the U.S. Senate. And then to present a bill that not only is not paid for, but just paid for a little bit.
Senator Bunning's argument is it's hypocritical to pass a bill and ignore that bill after passage. The Democrats passed PAYGO. Now the Democrats are ignoring PAYGO. Therefore, the Senate Democrats are hypocrites. Let's see how Senator Reid responds.
But let me just review history a little bit. The senator from Kentucky talks about the bill we voted on and passed last week as being very partisan. That bill received 70 votes. It was a very partisan bill, a very nonpartisan bill, I should say. It was a bipartisan bill. It received 70 votes. Why did it receive 70 votes? Because it did some great things for America.
Senator Reid commits two fallacies here. The first is the modal scope fallacy when he implies that any bill that receives 70 votes must necessarily be bipartisan. Perhaps the senator believes that as long as there is one vote from each side, that it would be necessarily bipartisan. Either way, 70 votes, if 57 are Democrats, 2 are independents, and 11 are Republican, is not necessarily bipartisan. The senator's second fallacy is a post hoc ergo propter hoc fallacy. He commits this fallacy by suggesting that the reason the bill passed is because it does so many good things for America. This conclusion does not follow as a matter of logic. There's a higher likelihood that, given the participants in the current Senate, that there were backroom sweetheart deals cut to gain the necessary votes for passage. For more on the post hoc ergo propter hoc fallacy, take a look at this clip from the West Wing episode.
What else?
The Ryder Cup team is declining our invitation to come to the White House.
You're kidding.
Because of the joke.
You're kidding.
I'm not.
The Ryder Cup team.
It's a group of the best golfers in the country.
I know what the Ryder Cup team is. Thanks, Mrs. Lanningham.
Sir, this may be a good time to talk about your sense of humor.
I've got an intelligence briefing, a security briefing, and a 90-minute budget meeting all scheduled for the same 45 minutes. You sure this is a good time to talk about my sense of humor?
No.
Me neither.
What else?
It's just that it's not the first time it's happened.
I know.
Talking about Texas, sir?
I know.
USA Today asks you why you don't spend more time campaigning in Texas, and you say it's because you don't look good in funny hats.
It was big hats.
What difference does it make?
It makes a difference.
The point is we got whomped in Texas.
We got whomped in Texas twice.
We got whomped in the primary, and we got whomped in November.
I think I was there.
And it was avoidable, sir.
CJ, on your tombstone, it's going to read post hoc ergo propter hoc.
Okay, but none of my visitors are going to be able to understand my tombstone.
27 lawyers in the room. Anybody know post hoc ergo propter hoc? Josh?
Post, after hoc, ergo, therefore, after hoc, therefore, something else hoc.
Thank you. Next.
If I got more credit on the 443
Leo.
After it, therefore, because of it.
After it, therefore, because of it. It means one thing follows the other, therefore it was caused by the other. But it's not always true. In fact, it's hardly ever true. We did not lose Texas because of the hat joke. Do you know when we lost Texas?
When you learn to speak Latin?
Go figure.
It's interesting that my friend would talk about PAYGO. He voted against PAYGO. He's talking about PAYGO now. He voted against it. He voted against it right here in the Senate floor. If he so liked PAYGO, why didn't he vote for it?
Senator Reid commits two more logical fallacies here. The first is a red herring fallacy. This fallacy got its name from the ancient practice of throwing hounds off a scent trail by dragging a dead fish across a path. The question as to whether or not Senator Bunning supports or voted for PAYGO is irrelevant to Bunning's initial argument, and so Senator Reid has committed a red herring fallacy. Senator Reid's second fallacy is denying the antecedent. The form of the fallacy is, if P then Q, not P, therefore not Q. Senator Reid's argument is, if a senator votes for a bill, then he supports it. Senator Bunning did not vote for PAYGO, therefore he does not support it. The fact that the bill passed may be enough for Bunning to support the bill.
My friend just is, he's throwing around words like hypocrite. People can make their own decision as to who is a hypocrite. I'm not calling anyone a hypocrite, although I'm just stating the facts. Someone boasts about the good offices of PAYGO but votes against it, talks about the doc fix but votes against it. So I would think that my friend from Kentucky should get a different historian to help him with his facts because they're simply wrong. and I object.
A tu quoque fallacy occurs when someone accuses a person of the same thing that they have been accused of doing. By implying that Senator Bunning is a hypocrite, Senator Reid is committing the tu quoque fallacy. The strawman fallacy occurred in Senator Reid's attempt to reconstruct Senator Bunning's argument in a way that would make it easier to defeat. The red herring fallacy was committed when Senator Reid called for Senator Bunning to get a new historian when Bunning's historical facts were irrelevant to the original argument.
Madam President, I can't match now or ever in the past my friend's fastball or his curveball or his 40 grandchildren. But I do have 16 grandchildren. But I do think it's important to understand that the reasoning is a little unusual. He said, I wouldn't vote for a bill that I thought would not be upheld at a later time, or the procedures in the bill not followed. I don't know why anyone is entitled to being the judge and the jury. You pass legislation, and if it's the law, then there are ways of upholding that. Now, Madam President, with PAYGO, we have some experience. We know it works. It worked during the Clinton years. We paid down the national debt as a result of what happened during the Clinton years. PAYGO was dismissed during the Bush years. Now, my friend talks about the debt. He wants to make sure that the debt doesn't go up. Where was he during the Bush years? Unpaid wars, 2 wars unpaid for, taxes unpaid for, running up trillions of dollars.
If the senator's communication were a food, it would be a deep-fried Twinkie, full of sensory pleasure, but with destructive nutritional content. The reason that Senator Reid and others like him are in Washington and not washing windows in Elko is that since the 1960s we've been taught to be really good at pathos and really bad at logos. Pathos and ethos are used in sophistry, which is the art of making the weaker argument defeat the logically stronger argument. Until logos assumes its proper role in communication, Americans will elect inferior candidates whose distinction will be that of being able to make you feel good and get motivated with no brain requirement. In the self-help section of your bookstore, you'll find title after title from authors that will tell you how to feel better and how to get motivated. You'll find almost nothing that will tell you how to think better. I, Dr. Logic, am not political. I live to expose bad logic and to help you think better. If there's a video segment or other presentation that you would like me to evaluate and publish, please send me the link to drlogic@sumologica.com. Every month, Dr. Logic will award the perfect pie to a worthy recipient. The perfect pie of the month goes to Governor Christie of New Jersey. He scores high on logos, ethos, and pathos. Dr. Logic will send a certificate for a complimentary pie to the governor. Until next time, keep thinking.